Hold on, we're almost there. And all right. Anna's Historical Podcast Radio.
Look at you with your that's the most conventional background I've ever seen you. Ever seen.
Well, I'm trying to see how this works and see if I ever have to use it. I'm trying it by my phone for today to
Oh, are
see
you?
how it goes. Yeah, this is by phone. You're not on yet. You're not on film, but we are live right now. So just letting
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I have it on. I have it on. See, you can't. I got a good. Yeah, you'll see better when we come on. But I got a stand, like a projector stand, which holds my phone. So I think it's gonna look a lot better streaming to doing the
Nice.
Facebook.
Ooh, it's been a while. It feels like it's been forever.
I know, huh? I was trying to figure that out. It does. When you posted your old work photo, I was on my phone. I could not even tell it was you. But then once I was on my computer and could see it better, I was like, oh, yeah, that's him.
That was a long time ago.
Oh, yeah, huh? Yeah. Were you outside much yesterday?
Nah, not much.
So fucking hot.
It's hot. It's so hot.
Yeah. Wow. Every time I come on Zoom, they have more gimmicks and stuff. So what's up with your new computer? Why are you on your phone?
Well, one, I just wanted to try it, and plus, I'm
Oh,
over my
yeah.
parents' house. I like to see. I like to make sure it's working on the phone too if I ever have to use it. So
Yeah.
I like to see what it looks like and how it goes. So
Yeah. See, oh yeah, I'll send you a picture of how it looks.
because right now I don't see. I know you don't have it on. Your picture isn't up yet. So
Yeah.
now you're up. Okay, it still
Yeah.
looks the same.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm just showing you what my setup is different. I just messaged you. See, when we start the show, I have it set up so I can
Let's see if I can
just
see it.
um go I'm gonna go live from the phone, and so it's
Oh, did you get a new computer?
no, the stand is new,
Oh, it makes you look. Man, that looks super professional.
doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and well, this I got the stand especially to have for doing I mean, it's a projector stand, but so I got it for that, but then I realized it would be great for the show too, and I wasn't even sure what this bendy part was until I looked at the picture. And I realized, like, oh, it still holds the phone.
Yeah,
So,
it's probably to hold the phone up.
well, yeah, it is. I just couldn't figure out what it was for a minute. I mean, for a minute, but yeah, and you can put it on either side. So yeah, now I can have my other devices just sitting here because in case anybody does comment on YouTube, it's a lot easier for me to see it than if the way I had it before, it was like on books with the thing in front of it. This is just a lot smoother.
Right, right.
Yeah. So this is the new Vallejo famous look.
That's
It's
not bad.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it was a friend of mine. I was wearing my Vallejo famous shirt, and then a friend of mine who does all the Pride stuff liked it. So I connected him with Lamont, and so he made all these. He did the stuff, and so then I was waiting to see him, my friend, when I saw it. And when I saw him, I was like, look, I do. I mean, I constantly wear Lamont stuff, like everything, anything I can do to rep him, and it's so important to him to keep going. And I mean, he doesn't talk publicly about his bills, but I mean, they must have crazy medical bills. I mean, his son was in the hospital for a long time.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're posting it and then other people want it too. So Lamont's been posting, he's all into it. He's like, love, pride, everything. And then another friend of mine at the picnic was going like, well, that's not a rainbow. There's not enough colors in it. And I was like, oh, shut
Oh gosh.
the fuck up. Yeah. It's 8 o'clock.
It's that time.
Sure is. Sure, this looks right. What's up, Facebook? Hey,
Facebook, what's going down?
yeah, yeah. Uh-oh, this might not be looking right. What the fuck? Oh my God, it is not gonna let me fucking stream from this angle. Fuck.
Well, your setup, you should be able to just twist it, right?
Yeah, but see, this is so fucking stupid. And I was doing it before. The fuck? Okay. God damn, I tested it out before, man. That is so fucking weird. Okay, let's see what it does now. Okay, Facebook, just bear with me for a moment there. Okay, deleting you. So, okay, so what is up? It's been a couple weeks.
Yes, it has. Woo.
I know, man. It feels like a long time. It feels like a long time. It always does, but I don't know, man. Then it feels like stuff is going really quick. I had my latest event, which is the Francis Perkins film, and that was very cool. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, it went really well. And what I want to do is do a regular matinee screening of the for seniors start, well, I mean, not an afternoon thing. I mean, for anybody, but especially seniors. I'm just trying to think of stuff that people can do during the day where I can use that space during the day when they're open anyway, because it's really nice of them to be open when I do anything in the evening. It's really cool because it means they have to.
Right.
So yeah. So
And you're talking about the spot on Marin Street, right?
yes, Vallejo
Okay.
Naval and Historical Museum. And I'm doing some research there now to help them out. People like to find out about their houses. So this is the sort of thing I just really love to do. So what I've been doing is going back over old phone books, and how they did it back in the day was they'd have addresses listed with the name. And then, so you go, like I've been looking for 839 Pennsylvania Street. So I'll find 839 Pennsylvania in the directory, and then it'll give the name of the person that's working there. And so then you go to another section to look people up by name, and it will say where they work. So, yeah. So that was kind of cool. And so then I try and find out about where they work, and when the house is empty, I put that down. A whole lot of people worked in the shipyard. And so with some of them, I wasn't clear at first how you tell who was in the military and who wasn't, but their military titles are there when they're in the military. So the place was empty. I started in 1960 because it had been empty for a long time before that, and was going back, and it was a rental place because it switched a lot. But the directors would come out about every 2 years, and then as we went further back in time, they would come out less often, and everything was abbreviated. And so I was pleased. I figured out one of them, STNGR, something like that. I was like, oh, that's stenographer, which I suppose you could consider coding. the version of it back then. I mean, it would have said I mean, I think a stenographer just did dictating and typing and stuff. I think if it was secretary, it would have said that. So I went all the way back to 1911, going through the phone books. And then there was a directory of just phone numbers. So next time I'm there, I'm going to go back and try and figure that out, because that didn't really make sense. How are you supposed to find somebody with just the phone number?
Right.
So
how are you able to get a hold of phone books from back that late? Like,
they're at the museum.
Wow, they have phone books that long ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Probably.
The next time I go in there, I'm going to check that out.
You have to make an appointment because it's in the library. It's not, but yeah, hey, I'm usually there. Well, yeah, if you're not working on a Tuesday, or we can go by there on a Saturday and ask if we can come in. There might be some of them in the displays. Yeah, because this is what's really fun, is when you at museums, is getting to go back into sort of the back part of it, because the library's open to the public. You just have to make an appointment. So if you really wanted to see the phone books, you could make an appointment to go do it. But yeah, if you're not, I can ask them. I mean, yeah, we should just go in there on a Saturday.
Oh, yeah, I'm down. We gotta set that up. I just want to check out the phone book. So that'll be cool.
Okay. Yeah. And she was saying she wanted people, you're supposed to wear gloves when you look at stuff like that, but they just had like fucking latex gloves. And I was like, oh shit. So what what you're supposed to wear to use when you're archiving are these white cotton gloves. And so libraries and archives usually have them there, but they didn't. So I ordered my own. And now I have my own white cotton gloves. But there's other volunteers there because I mean, it's the Naval Museum. So there's people that have been there like for, I don't know, 50 years or something. There was the office manager came in and she was saying, "Oh, I miss Shirley," or something. And I'm thinking like, well, thanks a lot. But she didn't mean it like that. But I said, "Who's Shirley?" And she said, "She was a lady that was here for 25 years and knew where everything was." And I was thinking, yeah, the problem with that is whenever you have somebody doing something like that, then they have their own system that won't make sense to anyone else. Or so, and people are really territorial. There was a person there, a sessioning. A sessioning is really cool. It's where you go through artifacts or images or documents or like basically anything and describe it to enter into the museum's database. Sort of before something is accessioned, it's not necessary, it's not an official part of the collection. Most facilities have tons of stuff sitting around waiting to be accessioned because there simply isn't enough staff. I mean, that's one reason, like with archiving, I mean, that's why I'm always offering to do it different places, because if you sit around and wait to get a job, it's not gonna happen. And but people are really possessive and territorial about it. I can't even tell you how many places I'll like offer to work on stuff and like, well, we don't know. It's like, it's sitting there. And that sort of material to me is immediacy. It's important because it means that you do that for researchers so that somebody trying to find stuff out knows where it is and what it is. And like, there's people get all hung up on digitizing, and digitizing just means getting stuff so that you can browse online and look at it, which is cool. But I think researchers are more important. There's lots of stuff that you can browse online, and you used to, so Vallejo famous. So check this out. Lamont, Vallejo famous, Bubba Strong. So, and I have some of the stuff we'll be talking about tonight has to do with it. So like with something like, there's places that would want to digitize the phone books or something, and which, as far as it's fucking scanning, so that's basically just putting in your information, putting the information in. I mean, that's hours and it's boring, and unless there's a real good reason for something, I'm not going to do something boring if I'm not getting paid for it.
Right.
The way I describe archiving is it's boring until it's interesting. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's really pretty tedious when you're just like, accessioning can be pretty tedious. You're just going through and like logging that something's there, but then you might find something find a discrepancy, find something that needs to be looked at. But basically, there's people that think it's important to have all these phone books and stuff online, whereas what you need to do, I mean, if somebody wants to find out about their house, so they contact the museum, and I find it for them. I mean, iPhone needs to cool down because before you can use it. Oh my God, fuck this. Okay. God, man, I need a fucking class action suits for iPhones. So that base, so and that's how things should be, because you need your time to try and be finding out stuff that's important. And if you I mean, it's cool for people to find out stuff about their houses, and I was trying to find out whatever I could about the people that lived there. But the museum has a genealogist for who helps people find stuff about their relatives or something. I mean, I just think that it should be stuff that people are actually interested in. So that has been pretty dope. So for example, so we're going to get into some of my favorite topics here. We've been, I don't even know how long. Who's listening? Is anybody watching? Is anybody watching? Is anybody paying attention? So we've been the king and queen of Belgium have been visiting the Democratic Republic of Congo. And I mean, who the fuck knows why? I sure as fuck wouldn't want them there if I were Congolese. But they brought artifacts. Oh, son of a bitch. And they brought artifacts, and they also brought Patrice Lumumba's tooth.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we've been talking about this for a while, and all it is, I guess he didn't take very good care of his teeth, because it's a gold tooth, and he was a young guy. I wonder how many teeth he lost anyway. But so the tooth is being it's in a coffin, and it will first go to the town of his birth that's been named Lumumbaville, and then to Kisangani, where he started his political activism, and then to Lumbashi, where he was killed. So the coffin, I've been looking at pictures of the coffin. This whole coffin is getting carried around with a tooth in it. And
how much is this tooth worth?
Priceless.
Ooh, okay. So it's like ain't nobody gonna try to steal it or anything.
Well, it's important nationalist to the nation. So in case people don't remember, Patrice Lumumba was the revolutionary leader of Congo, and he was kidnapped and assassinated by Belgians, and he was beaten to death and decapitated, and his body was dissolved in acid. And one of the military people, kept a tooth as a souvenir. And the guy died several years ago, and his daughter, I guess, turned it in. Damn, I mean, what a weird thing to have to contend with. I mean, putting it mildly. Like, okay, my dad participated in the brutal assassination of somebody and kept his tooth. That's just I wonder how many other people that guy killed, because that's not a normal thing to do.
No, it's not.
It's not. Keeping trophies, that's a serial killer type thing to do. So
well, you seen the movie Gangs of New York, right?
Yeah.
Remember how every time like they would kill people, they would take their ear, or like depending on who the person was. Like I remember when the butcher. Remember when he beat up he got the guy from behind and stabbed him from behind.
I don't remember specifically, because I don't remember that part specifically. It's been a long time since I saw the movie, but it's something that serial killers do. basically.
Yeah, they used to. Yeah, back in the day, that was like a thing, keeping trophies of people you killed.
Yeah, yeah. Well, serial killers still do that. I mean, it's one of it's one of the ways, they catch them, if they ever do. But the way how they can get DNA. So okay.
Of course, yeah, I know definitely nowadays it wouldn't be a good thing to
Yeah,
do. But back
yeah,
then, you kill
but they did have
high
something because
pronounced
they're
people.
sick. But so I mean, it matters to his family because I mean, for them, he's. I mean, for them, I mean, it's like Martin Luther King being assassinated. To
Right.
yeah, I mean, their father was a hero to the country, and he was assassinated. And there's no grave. There's no place. He wasn't any place. So they have the trauma of that. One of the daughters was interviewed and was saying something about how she was really close to her dad because she was the youngest. And she probably, I think some of that has just got to be wishful thinking. I mean, she wasn't the youngest. The youngest had I mean, well, the youngest, an infant, had died. He wasn't really even with his family that much, but yeah. So his family has, and it's symbolic to the Democratic Republic of Congo because nations give their leaders burials. So that's what it that's what matters. And so Lumumba, one of the reasons Lumumba was assassinated was that when Congo gained independence after 70 years of an absolutely brutal genocide, I mean, violent, brutal rule by Belgium. The king of Belgium was there and gave a really like racist, patronizing speech. And Lumumba got up and told the truth. He said they were never going to forget the brutality that they'd experienced. And that was his death warrant. I mean, he probably would have been killed anyway, but that's one of the things he's infamous for doing. Infamous to Belgium. And then, that was really fucking brave. And yeah. So the king and queen of Belgium are there, and they so they brought artifacts, a mask back. It's really cool. It's really cool looking, and it's supposed to be the first of many. And okay, so this is one of the things that happens with returning of artifacts. The colonizer country, or whatever country it is, the European country, will say like, okay, well, we'll loan it to you. And the country it was stolen from will be saying like, no, you're not, don't loan us our property. Belgium is claiming that they can't repatriate artifacts because it's against the law or something like that. So they're saying it's on permanent loan or something like that. I don't know. I mean, and that is the first of many. I mean, it's a process, like I mean, in a small way, the sort of thing I've been talking about with our little community museum, that items are accessioned into a museum, and there is a process to take them out of the museum, and that's just how museums work. King Philippe admitted the regime was racist. Remember our wanna fucking cookie category? Yeah. And so there's another relative named Princess Esmeralda, who's another, I looked her up. Apparently that is also a Disney character. So I was getting the Disney character when I was trying to find Princess Esmeralda, but I found her. She's a Belgian lady who is more outspoken about racism than the rest of the family, and is pushing her cousin, the king, to apologize and the reparation, and pushing for, she's in favor of reparations. And so she said, we are not responsible for our ancestors, but we have a responsibility to talk about it, which kind of sums it up. Like, no, King Philippe, we know you're not King Leopold, but you need to acknowledge what he did. So yes, so that's what's been going on in Belgium. And people's hit, like, again, I mean, I'm drawing all these connections here, but
I see the cat.
I know, huh? Yeah, he's such a he's being such a jerk. You probably, I had him, he's kind of acting up. I had him talk to an animal communicator today, and so he's trying to help me out with his terrible behavior and being a jerk, basically. So yeah, I mean, so in the same way as people are interested in finding out about their relatives and what they were doing in the military in the 20th century, it matters to people to have their whatever physical parts are left of their relatives and be able to have a funeral. And so, yeah, so okay. Harvard University is in possession of the remains of nearly 7,000 Native Americans. And yeah. And so there's probably, and this is, I'll be interested to find out like how many enrolled members of tribes there are in the United States. So, despite a 1990 federal law that requires the remains and cultural items of indigenous people to be returned, according to a leaked report, because Harvard put together a committee to talk about what to do about this, because that's how universities do stuff, basically. So the report was leaked, and the draft report called on the university to create a purpose-designed on-campus space where human remains ethically kept by the university can be viewed and studied as individuals. So, okay. When it comes to research and science, people like, I mean, I intend to do this. I want to donate my body to science, because I don't care, because it's important for medical students to be able to do that. That's how they learn. And people, they do name they name the cadavers, and there's
So let me ask you this: with the cadavers,
mhm.
they technically, do they like, is it some kind of like rule or something not to keep the actual name of the actual cadavers, or
I don't know.
like you just said they name them? I mean,
Yeah.
why wouldn't they just use the real name?
Um, I don't know. Maybe they can, because what medical schools have, because they have ceremonies. I read about this in a book about death, and and then when my sister was in medical school, she was telling me they had something like that at the end of their year. They have a ceremony, I guess, to commemorate the cadavers, and sometimes relatives of the people are there. I mean, the ones that want to be. So I guess in some cases they do. And the author of this book said that she attended one of the ceremonies, and that it was very deep and heartfelt. I mean, clear, it's something that students that want to do this. It's not, you know, they're not the majority, I guess, it's not something they have to do. But I mean, my sister said that, that in a way you do start to, because they will pretty much keep the same cadavers mostly, because she said that they do get that it's personal, and that you so yeah, I don't know if she ever went to any of the ceremonies, but so however, people choose to donate their bodies to science. So yeah, so it's a tradition. I mean, I don't know, because I guess not everybody does name cadavers. It's not like a law, but I guess like some medical students, some of them do, they take it really personally, because for them becoming a physician is such a huge thing. They spend years doing it, and you just yeah, and so for them, they want to acknowledge the individual that made it possible for them to learn so much. Because well, back in the day, because it can be difficult. I mean, there's a lot of cultures, a lot of people just don't want to do that. It's a very strong, it's not easy for people to be able to access cadavers, and wealthy, like everything, wealthy universities are more able to do that. Like in some medical schools, you'll have an entire class working on one cadaver, and then in other medical schools, it'll just be a team of students. It's probably, I doubt they have one person working on them. So it's not, so I mean, it's a big deal. But apparently this kind of makes me want to reread this book, because she said, people wrote poems, and that it was a long ceremony. And again, I mean, it's the relatives who attended were very moved, and it was significant to them too, because it's really vital for medical students to be able to work with a genuine body. There, I guess there's things you simply cannot learn without being able to do that. And
Right.
in the early days of medicine, back in the 19th century and before, there were grave robbers. People would, steal dead bodies, would dig up graves and steal dead bodies to be used for medical experiments. But yeah, I have to, I mean, it's a great idea for a book. It was like one of the things, it was just all about dead bodies. And like, it's something that, okay, I mean, obviously it's something that happens to to everyone and everything, but it's such a mystery. So one of the things the author did was go to a funeral home and watch the embalming process and talk to the people who worked there about the job and how they wound up doing it and what it's like to them. And I mean, what it's like to go on a first date with somebody and tell them you're a mortician or whatever. And then she went to a place where bodies are used to simulate to simulate accidents, to have cars, to learn about safety features and stuff like that. And then there was another chapter about students learning about plastic surgery, which it's different than what you learn. That for some reason that was separate than I don't know, learning a specialty is different. Actually, no, that might have been, yeah, when she was visiting with the plastic surgeon. So yeah, okay. While we're on the topic, okay, the phone's all cooled off. We're one of the things that we've been talking about for a while was the Yemenite Children's Affair, which is something I've been interested in for a while. And over the past couple of weeks, I was able to find some more books. One of the things I've learned from all the academics I follow on Twitter is that scientific journals can be difficult for just regular people to, academic journals can be difficult to access for just regular people, and books can be really, really expensive. So one of the things I've learned from following a lot of professors that they'll say is just like, if you want my article, just email and ask for it, because they don't make money from from being in those big time scientific journals. Turn the light on. So the Yemenite Children's Affair is referring to Jews of Arab, mostly from Yemen, but also from other Arab countries that were airlifted, that were brought to the state of Israel between about 1949 and 1953. There have always been Jews of Arab descent in the state of Israel before it was the state of Israel. And they have always been, and they've always experienced racism. They've always been, I mean, basically, when you read like history books, you can go back and find quotes from, for example, like leaders that I'd read about that are really admired, and you can read about how racist they were. And so the Yemenite Children's Affair is the belief that Yemenite children were kidnapped from refugee camps and given to Ashkenazi Jews. That's what my family is. Ashkenazic Jews are white Jews, and Mizrahi Jews are Arab Jews. And so Israel, after the Holocaust, a lot of European Jews were refugees basically, and went to the state of Israel. So, and a lot of them, for medical and psychological reasons, were unable to have children. So Yemeni refugees were in camps, and they were told that their babies that would be taken to a hospital or taken to like a baby nursery or something, so that they wouldn't be in the tents. And then they were told that the child had died, but they would not be given a body or a death certificate. So I guess this is like death night at Global History Radio.
Definitely.
Yeah. When it's just part of being human to be able to have a funeral, and that, I guess, like, also, I think it just helps your human. I think it helps our mind summon it, because with death is kind of a disappearance, but you can understand it better if you have, like, okay, well, the matter is still here. So there have been inquiries about this for years, and there were, from the very beginning, but there was always so much racism and discrimination against Mizrahi Jews that it didn't get attention. And Mizrahi Jews were kept in refugee camps, where European Jews would come to Israel and get houses while Mizrahi Jews were still there. One of the things that the defenders of the state of the Israelis will say is, well, look at the United States. Like, okay, not being as bad as the United States, just that is still not acceptable. So there have been okay, so there were government committees, because one of the things that happened was people started receiving draft notices for the children that had died, and that made a lot of people think that their children hadn't really died. And to me, that doesn't really make sense, because if you're following along with the belief that like, well, if there wasn't ever, like, basically how would they even have had a record of the child in the first place, I guess, or how would they even have known, I don't know, like how would they even have the information for where people were living or that, but for that particular thing, it would make more sense to me that if they had, like, for example, like logged people in when they arrived at the country, since there was never a death certificate, they still, since it wasn't official that the child had died, that yeah, they would send the draft notice to the family. So to me, that kind of makes more sense. To me, it would corroborate that the child had died, since you never had a birth certificate. So there wasn't, whereas if, like, okay, if somebody else had taken the child and registered them and had been raising them all these years, then the draft notice would have gone to them. But
Right.
yeah, it was galvanizing for many people. So there was a government commission in 1967-68, because that's around when the children of that era would have been, that's, it was between 1949 and 1953. So that's about when they would have been draft age. So there was one in 67-68, in 1980, and then one from 1988 and 1994, but they were called inquiry commissions. So all that means is asking questions. And then there was a commission from 1995 to 2001, and that's the only one that was called an investigative commission. Because if you're inquiring about something, you're basically just saying like, oh, is there a problem? What happened? Is there a problem? Whereas if you're investigating, that means that there is some problem that you're investigating. You're investigating something. Inquiring can be anything. So I found a book I've been tracking down for a while called, which was about the media treatment of the Yemenite Children's Affair and how that shaped it, how parents were treated, how families were treated. And it is just and it's become inextricable from the experience of non-white Jews, basically, and their treatment by the government. And so it's kind of hits the problem, or some of the core problems of Zionism, which is that people just needed to believe in it so badly. People were coming out of this trauma of the Holocaust, and the Arab Jews weren't Holocaust victims, but it was worldwide trauma to everybody. And they had been, it's actually claimed that there were people that in the Israeli government that wanted to bring in Jews of Arab descent because they thought they'd be good workers. And there are extremely racist comments attributed to leaders that did that. So what you find, so there's been commissions that to go back and try and find out what happened. And there was somebody that was so if they investigated, there was a case of 640 cases reports of missing children that were investigated. So say for example, they'd find out and they could find death, they could find like death records for 600 of them. They might find that like 3 of them had been adopted out, and that a certain, so then you have like 30 that you don't know what happened. So if you're part of those 30 families, that's not good enough, because there were thousands of people that immigrated. And so if you, I mean, I'm not a statistician, but if you break down those numbers, that is still a significant number of children that are unaccounted for. And they were babies, almost, so it's called children, but most of them were babies. And so then deniers will be saying like, well, then why wouldn't there be more like dark-skinned adopted children in Jewish families? Well, the children would have been sent all over the world. They would have been trafficked all over the world if something like that would have happened. A lot of them would have been in the US and just anywhere, and all the other places that Holocaust survivors went. So I mean, for the first time, a grave is being excavated of a little boy, to try and like do DNA testing of a little boy. And while they were doing that, they found another grave of another child right next to him. It's another grave. I don't know if it's yet. So they had to stop the whole thing because of that, because then they need to go back to court and figure out what to do about that grave, because that's just policies and stuff. So that happened a couple weeks ago, and I have alerts on my phone, waiting to see what will happen. And so I emailed somebody that has a chapter, and a woman that has done a whole lot of research on it. She was a journalist and was Mizrahi, and had and there was somebody in her family, there had been a baby in her family that disappeared. And it's the sort of thing where things like that can just be so, sometimes, I mean, a lot of times stuff like that just isn't talked about because it's so traumatic. So when people would start talking, they would find out that this seemed to be more common than you might have expected, except there was a very high infant mortality rate. People were in poor health. And actually, see, I was just reading some new information about sudden infant death syndrome. And the babies might have been more likely to die of sudden infant death syndrome if they weren't next to their moms. That's one of the beliefs. So yeah, and back then there wasn't, they would have been too little for vaccinations, but one of the beliefs is that autopsies were performed, and so that's why bodies weren't returned, because that's just very hard for people culturally. People don't believe in that. But you need to just keep getting the numbers, and and now, there's one website, that's super cumbersome website, that's just such a pain to go through. I just don't have the patience to read much of it, because there's some cases I've read about where people have found each other through DNA testing, because that's just happening more and more with in this day and age. So that will answer a lot of people's questions. So I mean, hopefully that will happen. And just, but then there's just people that say, I mean, what it really is about is the experience of Mizrahi Jews in the state of Israel, and how they've been treated. Want to take a break?
We can take a break, but I don't have no music today. You want me
Oh,
to
you
try?
don't?
No music. This is off the phone.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that would be kind of boring.
I can give it a try though. I can see. It'll be good to try to see how this works. You want me to try to see if I can get something going?
Yeah, because I want to fix my phone.
All right, go for it. Let me try
Okay.
something.
We'll be back in a little bit, Facebook.
No, that didn't work. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Screen. Oh. Hmm. YouTube. Hmm. Didn't work. Okay, that was weird. That didn't work.
Wow, it's so quiet. That's weird.
I know. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, for some reason it didn't work. It did something funny style, so I'm not gonna try it again. I'm gonna have to practice on that to see what access all your information that is visible on your screen. I play from your for recording on task. Let me see. Oh no.
What's wrong?
Well, I was trying to see if I can do like I can do on a computer. And you go to share and you can go to like different stuff, but it's not letting me do it. Bookmarks, nope. You gotta really be you gotta be really ready for this one. So we're gonna have to take it just a normal break, y'all. Music will commence next show.
Okay, well, I'm ready in a minute.
All right.
Okay.
All right, we are back, y'all.
Okay, live video, public. post story going live. So, okay, this thing stays up better than I thought, but oh, lame. So, okay, January 6th commission. Did you watch any of it?
No, I didn't.
You're just
I've been.
you just wait for me to watch stuff and tell you about it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. So, but
Oh,
you know what? I will say this: I'm not hearing too many people talk about it. So I don't know if that's a good or bad
yeah, I don't know. I don't know either. It's I don't know, man. I mean, I don't think that matters that much, actually. I mean, I don't know whether people talk about stuff or not, but it's pretty interesting.
thing. What's that guy who has a show on HBO?
John Oliver?
No, the Democrat guy. He's kind of like a comedian too. I forgot his name. It's not Dan Oliver. You would know his name if I said his name. I just can't think of. He has a show on HBO. And he's a
Not
Democrat.
not Bill Maher.
Bill Maher.
He's a prick.
Bill Maher. Because he had that lady that used to talk for Trump on there.
Oh, Kellyanne Conway. I read
Yes.
her. I read her memoir actually.
And it was just so funny that he was bringing up January 6th.
Yeah.
And she, even though she doesn't really work for him no more or
No.
has much to do with him, they won't let him, they continuously back him up no matter what.
Well, she had quit. Yeah, I read her memoir. See, I'm always like, when we haven't had a show for a while, I'm always like, man, I need to like keep track of what I've done, because I have been doing stuff. So, because she always cracked me up, man. I thought she was fucking funny. And she quit before she quit working. So she wasn't working for him at the time of January 6th.
Yeah.
She said that she told him that, I mean, I think that she's more together than a lot of them. She told him, she tried to reason with him. She tried to tell him that it wasn't that he'd lost. She said she was one of the few people that didn't lie to him. So I think I wish she were on our side, because she's smart as hell. Oh, God damn. I mean, so that was pretty remarkable about her book. I mean, what she did before running this campaign was work in polls. So she worked for different candidates. So she knew a lot of different people in Washington, D.C., both conservative and liberal. So I don't know. I mean, she always did I don't know, man. I just, don't you remember seeing her with the campaign?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just thought she was hilarious, man.
Well, Bill Maher pressure her, man, to admit that they shouldn't have did January 6th and that Trump had something to do with it, and she was like, well, Trump really didn't have anything to do with it. It's not Trump's fault. And she was holding on, dude.
She's very, very good at what
she did. She was not letting go.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, she's certainly a lot smarter than him. I don't like him because he has this smearing attitude about stuff. He's just so fucking smug. I don't like him, but they've known each other for a really long time. Cause I remember she came on her show, seeing her on his show right after Trump was elected. So she's been coming on his show for a long time. So But yeah, so her, I mean, it was just interesting. She was talking about how she did polling, and I don't know. She just, it kind of so when she talked about polling, it sort of was similar about to stuff that you said, that you would say that people aren't honest with pollsters, and that people don't want to admit stuff to them. So for her, so I mean, what she did was, I mean, I guess she was just really good at speaking with people personally, and really good at putting questions to, at how she phrased questions. Because
Mm-hmm.
that makes, so that's why she was so good at what she did. But yeah, I mean, I didn't want to buy her book, but I had it on order at the library. And she, I don't know, I mean, I hate that she's her, I mean, the reason she left she quit working for Trump was because her daughter was online, her teenage daughter was online being a teenager, and then and bashing Trump. But so her daughter became a sensation, an internet sensation, and her husband was bashing Trump too. So that was just something that was playing out, you know, and she'd be on TV and people would be asking her about her.
So she stopped campaigning for Trump because of her daughter and husband.
Her daughter more so, you know, because that, I mean, that's one of the things that politicians and always say that people always say that they're stepping down to spend more time with their family, but I think and I mean, in her case it was true. I mean, her family would, and so I remember her, like her daughter would be filming her on Twitch Talk, would be posting on TikTok, and you know, she'd be filming Kellyanne like cussing at her and screaming at her. And you know, she doesn't talk about that part in the book, but she said in the book that, like, yeah, she cusses, and so she didn't deny it, because yeah, she sounded pretty awful in some of the TikToks. My mom, but you know, what the fuck, my mom sounded pretty awful a lot of the time, like screaming and cussing at us. I mean, you know, so but I mean, people just pick up on kids. A reporter from the New York Times was contacting Claudia Conway, her daughter, and she was only 15. So, I mean, that was fucked up. And I mean, I don't understand like how you could legally, I was like, wait a minute, you're not, how do you just contact them? Like, I don't know, man. There was just ways that they could manage to do it. Like, I guess she could write, this lady was contacting her daughter, but then I guess, you know, I mean, there's nothing to stop you from writing about kids. So then the New York Times was writing about Claudia Conway's TikToks. And I do think that's lame. I mean, I think Kellyanne was saying, she was comparing the numbers, like the amount of press that was given to her daughter compared to the amount of press given to Hunter Biden's philandering, addicted son, and that's, yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't think it's right for people writing about a teenager that much, but Claudia would be posting that she was being abused, and so people would be calling social services on Kellyanne, and when social services gets a call about a child being endangered, they have to go investigate it. So, I mean, you can't turn CPS on someone for cussing at their kid. I mean, so then, but I think the thing with her husband was pretty awful. I mean, I just think family. I mean, he started a group. I mean, if you're going, I think it's the problem of people really thinking that social media is important and that it makes a difference, and it does in some areas, but when he was a lawyer, he could have and he did, like, he started an organization. He was working on an organization that was trying to work against Trump. Like, yeah, join an organization, I mean, if you're against somebody, do what you're going to do, but don't bash your wife's boss on Twitter. I think that's fucked up, because it's just Twitter. All it's going to do is get retweeted and amplify. And I mean, that's your family. And I don't think families should treat each other that way. And if it wasn't going to help, it wasn't going to make Trump be any, it wouldn't make, it didn't, the only difference it would make was make their family more vulnerable, basically.
Right.
And threats and publicity. And so, yeah, I felt sorry for her. I was calling into Fox News at the time, and they were talking about it, and I just think, like, yeah, I feel sorry for her. I mean, whatever, that's a marriage, and this is obviously, so she won't answer whether she's married to him. But yeah, she was talking about all the women that how great Donald Trump is to women. And but yeah, I wish she would. I mean, I guess who knows what she's planning to do. I mean, she was the first woman to manage a successful presidential campaign. So I'm sure that she'll get plenty of job offers for 2024. So she wasn't managing. Lucky for us, she was not managing Trump's reelection campaign. So yeah. But anyway, that's Kellyanne. And I know that I mean, I didn't write on anything on Facebook about reading the book, because I knew I'd be getting tons of, like, that bitch. Well, not so many people. Most people I know are, I mean, I don't know. I think most people that know me, like, know better than to post stuff like that on my Facebook wall. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't, I mean, the misogyny is just on all sides. And I'm going to counter it for everybody. It doesn't matter what somebody's politics are in that case. And okay, so the January 6th. So anyway, poor old Trump, he'd be in better shape if Kelly. I mean, but yeah, so she did leave because of her family. And yeah, she said that I might have to watch that. I had that interview on Bill Maher, even though I hate him, because but yeah, she said she told him that she was honest with him. Yeah. But she's so fucking smart. I mean, she probably also could see that the campaign was in really bad shape. And so by leaving when she did, she was well out of it, you know. I saw her on The View, and there's a conservative woman on The View who's like seen the light or whatever, and like is now anti-Trump, but served in his administration till, you know, she was in his administration till after January 6th. So, you know, so yeah, so she was trying to go after Kellyanne, and Kellyanne was not having it. um, okay, so the January 6th commission has been, you can see why it's taken so long for it to happen. And they've gotten footage of the Proud Boys from a filmmaker that was doing a film about them that turned in the film. So this guy is not looking at it. I mean, he wasn't in there as, I think he was British. I mean, he wasn't in there as a politician. He was in there as a filmmaker, you know, so that's a good person. That's good footage to have, because he's just going to be trying to get, I don't know, get at the substance of something. So he was, and then there were also interviews with far right groups that were talking about the organization for January 6th and talking about specific tweets that they took as encouragement from Trump. And there was the time in one of the debates where they asked Trump to condemn the Proud Boys, and he said he said something like, stand down, stand back. And that just means that was
yeah.
That means, like, I don't know, I think it's sort of like the equivalent, like, don't point your gun, but hang on to it, something. So somebody posted on the chats like, well, yes sir. And so the documentary footage, so they were talking about that, and then apparently like that phrase was put on t-shirts, you know, and so they were looking at the coordination that between the groups. And then like there's footage of a member of Congress giving a tour to people of the Capitol, which wasn't supposed to be happening. There were no tours at that time because of COVID, but he could do it as something he was just doing for constituents that were visiting him. So there's pictures of the people on the tour taking photos of like staircases and stuff that you wouldn't normally take pictures of as a tourist. But you know, you can't really do anything with that information. And so there were so basically, I mean, they're looking at it legally, and the biggest thing that they're finding, and so there's interviews with people that with like the attorney general at the time, like, you know, who was, I mean, you know, he could say stuff like, he said, Mr. President, that's bullshit, or something like that about his claims. And then so there were interviews today by leaders that had people that had basically done the right thing. like the attorney general of the state, just, and people's lives were just ruined by this. There were two election workers in Georgia who were a mother and daughter, and one of them was named Ruby, and she had a small business which she called Lady Ruby's. And so, she had like t-shirts and jewelry and stuff that would say Lady Ruby, and she was like working as a poll worker to make some money, she and her daughter, and Trump called them out by name, and they were just harassed, threatened, haven't been, they're scared. The mother said that she's scared to go to the store because she's scared that, like, if somebody says her name, she'll be recognized. And this woman said that she was talking about her grandma. She said that she had never heard her grandmother lose her cool in her life, and that her grandmother called her screaming because people had burst into her house. And I mean, these were just regular people. And yeah, it's just, and there was, and so people, a guy that was like Secretary of State, or just, he was like a Speaker of the House. I forget which state, but they were getting like daily calls from Trump saying, one of them, and some of the courts were saying, I need you to find 11,000. We're just saying, do this. And then he wouldn't do it. So his house was like surrounded by people. And at the time, his daughter was terminally ill, was there in the home dying, and heard it. So yeah. And so, I mean, some of that we knew before that had happened, and it just, but I mean, the president of the United States just inciting it, just turning his people on civilians, horrible. So, but basically they have reasons. It was spelled, and then certainly anybody on the commission, I mean, Liz Cheney, I mean, they're all getting, I mean, anybody on the commission is getting tons of death threats. And I don't know, man, this world is fucking crazy. It's scary.
So it definitely is.
Yeah. And I don't know. So that's the January 6th commission. I kind of thought it, but I mean, basically they're explaining how it works. I mean, how what he did that was actually illegal. Because that's one of the problems. Like, yeah, we know he's, and then hopefully something that can prevent him from running again. I mean, yeah. But yeah, it's been mixed. Like, I guess there's Trump supported candidates that have lost, and Trump supported candidates that have won. So okay. So you haven't seen anything on it with your online people or anything?
No. Like I said, there's not too many people that talk about it.
Yeah, well, God, I barely did. So, okay. Again, 1,000 people have been killed in an earthquake in Afghanistan. So, so the Taliban is asking for humanitarian aid for that. And, as we know, as the world goes on, I mean, Afghanistan has just gone right back to oppressing and abusing women. And okay, so January 6th, and the Prince of Saudi Arabia. Okay, so Jamal Khashoggi was a journalist of Saudi descent who was critical of the Saudi government. And he went into the Saudi embassy in Turkey and never came out. He was killed there, and he somehow managed to upload his killing to the cloud or something, to some app, WhatsApp or something, so his family could find it. So that was never resolved. It's been denied. Turkey's a NATO country, so they were supposed to be getting help for that. Yeah, right. So anyway, the Saudi prince has visited Turkey for the first time since the Jamal Khashoggi visit. Because basically it's saying that, like, it's like damaging the sovereignty of another country. So that's why it was such a big deal. I think Biden is supposed to be going to Saudi Arabia next week. One of the things that's being talked about now is a vacation from the gas tax.
So what's that mean exactly?
It means removing the gas tax.
What?
I know.
That's shocking.
I know. Yeah.
I'm gonna see this.
I know. It doesn't, I don't know, man. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me, because I think I just don't think that, I just feel like if you do something like that, you're going to pay for it later. Like, taxes fund things. So if you don't have those taxes, things still need to be paid for. So what are you going to do? Where's that money going to come from?
So now, when you're saying eliminating the gas tax, are you just talking about because of how high it is now? Or are you talking about like
not permanent? It would not permanent.
Okay.
It's called gas taxification or something, like, not permanently eliminating it. Just
I don't see nothing wrong with that. Just for, I mean, dude, this is high. This is crazy.
Oh, I know, it's fucking crazy. Yeah.
And I don't know what they need all that extra money for at this point, but to me, it's just, I don't know, it's a little too high.
I don't think it's extra money.
You don't think almost up to $7 a gallon ain't extra? Is it too much extra?
Oh no, I don't mean, well, that's the oil companies, but he's just talking about the tax. And so taxes fund the government and services and all of that. So if you don't have that tax money, then what are you going to do?
Well, I just don't see it. My thing is, if they're doing it, and it sounds like to me they'll be doing it for a little bit, I think it's worth it for a little bit. Because, I mean, I don't know. I'd have to really look how much more the tax is making it, but it's still a lot. That it takes off some of the gas off of the money off of the gallons of gas. So I think it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like giving people a break. I just think it needs, it's just such a, I don't know, man. It's, I don't know how you put it. It's like,
to me, you can't keep putting and applying pressure. There's just so much going on with COVID and shooters at schools and stuff like that. Sometimes I think they have to do stuff like this because it's too much. It's just too much,
And
in my opinion.
yeah, and food prices and
And food prices, yeah, those are going up, and then it's like too
uh,
much.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, if it'll give people a break, I'd have to see. I mean, okay, I don't know what the tax even so.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Now that you said that, and when I go to get gas, I'm just gonna look, and I'm curious
Yeah,
myself how big of a difference that is.
yeah. I don't know. I can't imagine it's more. I don't know, more than a quarter out of your dollar or something. Or
Yeah, but I mean, even if it's like I said, if it's at least $1, that's better than nothing, you
oh
know.
yeah, oh yeah,
So,
yeah. It's just crazy. I mean, it's yeah. I'm going to yeah. I was just texting Age because I was going to be in Martinez and going over to Martinez tomorrow to give blood. I'm on the blood donor thing, and so I periodically get these calls. So I got this call. I was like, okay, short blood. I'll go give some blood, and I said, will you guys? And the closest is Martinez. Sucks, and I said, do you guys give any gas cards? And she said, no, but you'll be entered into a drawing for a $3,000 gift card. Like, what? Like, okay, that is just okay. If you guys can do that, why can't it would just, why can't you just give a bunch of people a $20 gas card or something like that? That is so much more fair, you know.
right.
I'm like,
I
yeah,
think sometimes they do that because it's more there's, but someone has to win. So yeah, you're right. I don't know. I don't know why they do that.
yeah. I mean, stuff like that. There's always I mean, I really think that that's lame though, because like there's other places that I've never like I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think like there were at some of the places oh yeah, well there's this place where you get COVID tests and they give you a $20 gift card, and I've been going. It's out at at the food distribution where I'm at, and somebody's like
What
funding
do
it.
they give you a gift card for? What is the gift card for?
Anything you can use it. You can use it at Amazon or
Oh, it's
Target. Yeah,
I get you, like a
yeah.
card where you can just do whatever you want with it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a whole bunch of different places. I mean, a lot of it is more like specialty sort of stuff. But for me, it's like Amazon or Target, I can get groceries there and get cash. So yeah, it's nice. But so, yeah, so I've just been doing, but if you do something, or I don't know, there was like there's other places I'm trying to remember where if you do something, you'll maybe get a gift card for something small. And that just makes so much more sense. Because in a way, like, what the fuck? You're gonna get $3,000 for don't because it should be proportionate. Like, okay, you're gonna get $3,000 for donating some blood, and everybody else is, I don't know, what the fuck am I gonna be out like gas and toll to get to Martinez? I mean, that's
Hmm. That's
so.
probably why they did it. They know people gonna want to drive out their way to go.
Well, I think it just has to like they were setting it up at it was at the high school for a while, but now it's at the city hall or something. Because when I don't know, man, I kind of don't, I don't know. Next time, I kind of don't even want to do it next time in a way, or I don't know. I mean, it's just like, why can't you guys set up someplace a little closer? Or, why does it always have to be Martinez? But yeah, why can't you just give us a little gas card or something? I mean, that would be so,
Hmm.
I mean, because there's probably like there's a I don't have no idea how many people goes through there for a day for for a blood drive. But yeah, I mean, just $10 or whatever. So okay, so we'll see what happens with the gas tax. Baby formula production has been speed it up, but apparently it's still pretty difficult for people to find baby formula. So that sucks. Okay. It's just okay. I guess it's just this particular iPhone that heats up or something. That's kind of ridiculous. But okay, so I'm gonna switch this one back on.
So what, you have two different iPhones?
Uh-huh. One of them is a kept. Yeah, I just use this one as an iPod. It's an old iPhone, and it was kind of, I don't know, I got a new one because it was, I can't remember, something or other was wrong with it. Yeah, the battery starts to go or something. So okay, so let's talk about blaxploitation films. Which ones are your favorite?
The Mac.
The Mac, who's in it?
Oh, I keep forgetting the guy's name. I mean, but I will say, if I'm not mistaken, in the Mac, Richard Pryor's in it. He's definitely in it. There's a lot of people in the movies. There's a lot of people that are in the movies that are in movies now. But there's like Superfly. There's Shaft. Everybody knows Shaft.
Yeah, I've seen the modern one.
Yeah, the one with Samuel L. Jackson, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then there's of course, like you said, Foxy Brown, Rage in Harlem. There's a few of them.
Okay, so how do you define blaxploitation?
I mean, the word is kind of itself. It's like the black hero, but it's a stereotyped hero, so to speak.
But I mean, if you're what's the exploitation? Because exploitation means it means like taking advantage. So what are they taking?
Well, they're kind of exploited. It's kind of a stereotype. It's like,
oh, okay.
It's I mean, you've seen them. I mean, like you've seen Foxy Brown.
Just I like one. I've seen like one of them or something.
Over sexualized, how she looks, how she acts.
Okay.
And you've kind of seen Shaft, even with the new Shaft, how you know how he acted.
Yeah. Because I was writing to a friend of mine. I wrote something about it to a friend, and she didn't know the term, but I said, like, I know the films, and I don't know, man. I just
like in Dolomite, like the way they would talk.
Yeah.
You have to go back and watch them again to understand. It's hard to explain, but it's when you watch, you see like, okay, I get it.
Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, to me personally, they were good movies. I like them. I don't know.
Yeah, well, they influenced a lot of people, and I think they're just a real important part of an era. I mean,
definitely.
Yeah. I mean, they just expressed something important, and it was something that people weren't doing before.
Right.
It's just a real creative expansion. So the UK is trying to send asylum seekers to Rwanda, and a court has stopped that from happening. And so I was reading an interview with a guy who's now in Switzerland, because we talked about that. We talked about this before. He was Eritrean, and Eritrea has a brutal human rights. So he migrated to Israel, and Israel wouldn't allow him to claim asylum, and people were offered a lump sum and told they'd be taken somewhere else, but not where. And it's just, how can you treat people like that? It's just wrong. I mean, you need to tell people that, I mean, that you can't, it's just not right to treat people's lives that way. So he was told that he could stay in a refugee camp, or he could get $3,000 and be taken somewhere. So I think it was $3,500. So, but of course, with something like that, the people doing the transporting are going to be taking some of that money for themselves. So he was dropped off in Rwanda, and in Rwanda, he was almost immediately taken to Uganda by traffickers, but it wasn't even, it was like government sanctioned. And so along the way, plenty of people were taking his money. And he wound up in Uganda and then just immigrated again to and somehow wound up in Switzerland. So, you know, all I can say is somebody like that is fucking strong and brave and smart, and why the fuck you don't want them in your country is bullshit. Some friends of my dad's are moving to Israel. Like they're picking up and moving. And my dad's 90, so his friend must be 90. I mean, maybe a little, 80s, 90s. Yeah, they can pick up and move and immigrate, no problem. But just because they feel like it, and just because they're Ashkenazic Jews, basically. So yeah. Meanwhile, I don't really know what's going on the southern border. I haven't really followed that. Okay, what about the game last week? You want to give us a Warriors report?
I'm not a Warriors fan. I'm more of a Kings fan. So.
Never mind.
Yeah, with the Warriors won. Congratulations to the Warriors. Yay.
Because I was in a because I have a prayer group on Thursdays, so we're all in our little prayer group. It's a Zoom prayer group. Oh God, no, I don't know, Jesus, blah 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 blah, and then you hear somebody's husband going off in the other room. It was real cool. Yeah, it was a great little touch.
So. I'm waiting for football season to start back, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay.
Waiting for my Raiders. So.
Yeah, man, I know it's almost July.
Yeah.
So I had a pretty cool Pride Month. There were like a couple different proclamations and flag waving and flag raising and all of that. And then Sunday was the Pride picnic at and then Saturday, Vallejo had a Juneteenth celebration. So I got a text message the night before or something to come help out at the NAACP booth. So I was just there for a little bit, sort of chilling, but then they were getting all packed up because, there just weren't enough, there hadn't been enough notice. And so the same people had just been there all day. So,
right.
Yeah. And then on Friday, I was at the county fair. I had not been to a fair in a really long time. My friend that runs an educational center wanted some help. There was a whole kids section, and so she was doing like experiments, but it was something or other like she was just very, very good at it because it was basically blowing up a balloon, but there was like 10 different steps of it. It was very, very, it was something whether you mix like baking soda and pour it into water and put a balloon over it and it blows up the balloon, something like that.
Was it pretty cool?
I thought it was very cool. Yeah. Yeah, little science. I mean, that's how you do stuff like that. I had not been, I got an $8 lemonade. I hadn't been to the fair in a really long time. So that was pretty fun. So you got any shows coming up?
As of now, no.
Okay.
Taking a little chill pill. We'll see what happens.
Nice.
Unless something comes up. So, but as of now, no. But I'm cool with it. I'm chill.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, good. Well, I'm still waiting to hear back from the person at Integrity. So hopefully we can do a show there the last Thursday. I was at the farmer's market last week and there were some bewitched heads there that we just were getting into this conversation. So it's like, okay, I can figure. So what I want to do is just watch an episode and then go live on Facebook with people talking because that'll be interactive. What?
I agree.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm not gonna like show an episode and then show a video of people talking about an episode because that's just lame. I mean, it's not like it's that complicated. I mean, if people are gonna hang out and watch an episode, then they should be the ones to talk about it. But yes, right. We'll have a cake and yeah. So okay, well, I think I'm kind of running out of stuff to talk about.
Okay.
Do you have music next week?
What's next week? I don't know what's going down. I don't know. Next week is a weird week. So.
Oh, we can't do a show next week?
Oh no, we are doing. Oh, I thought you said music next week. I'm like, what is she talking about? Okay.
Oh, okay.
Of course. Why wouldn't we?
I know, because you said yeah.
Yeah. No. I'm good. Yeah. Good. Why wouldn't we? I didn't even know what you said. I thought you said something else.
I just meant it's weird. It just felt weird to do our show without music.
Oh yeah. No. We'll have music next week.
Okay.
I wanted to kind of see how this will work with the phone, so I kind of get an idea. I just haven't figured out how to play music, so. But I mean, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
Yeah. 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 So, okay. Well, thank you to anybody that was listening. And oh my God. Okay, shit. We're just giving 14-year-old boy was just shot in the stomach near Sonoma and Ohio Street.
Wow. Do they know why, or nobody knows why yet?
No. Last week there was the sheriff shot somebody dead last week. And yeah. There hasn't been a demonstration or anything yet. Anything about that, which is kind of weird. But
yeah. Never know.
I know.
So much going on. Be patient.
Oh, yeah. So, okay. Well, I will talk to you later then.
All right, y'all.
Okay. Night, everybody. Global History Radio. We'll see you next week.